Welcome to our 2025 edition of Golden Black Live, first show of the year. Tom Deanhart joins us, and we want to thank our sponsors, Triple X on the hill, but on the level of Purdue tradition since 1929, and of course, State Farm agent Trent Johnson at trentismyagent.com. All right, Tom, a lot of portal talk extravaganza, a whole host of visitors, January 1 through 3rd, and then another set coming in for the weekend as well. I don't know whether there's a way to summarize this or put it into some level of context, but there are a lot of guys. Barry Odom talked about how he would have he was 50 the first year and 55 the second year at UNLV. I don't know if we're going to get to that number, but there's been a lot of activity on the front end.
Yeah, there has, Alan. And, this stuff changes daily.
Yeah.
Guys say they're going to come visit and they don't show up. Maybe in the interim, they got another offer from somebody else and they change plans. So my point is this portal recruiting, sort of like trying to get your kind of hold water in your hands. It kind of runs through your fingers. Things change. I'm told by that from those who should know across on Northwestern Avenue. So again, just sometimes expect the unexpected, like that receiver from USC yesterday that committed, Charles Ross. I think that he was a surprise guy. They didn't even think he was going to commit that quick. So long story short, Alan, yeah, when you and I talked to Barry a couple of weeks ago, he mentioned his first 2 years at UNLV and the way he changed the roster there. Like you said, 50 guys.
Right.
23 and then in 24. So maybe Purdue reaches that level of churn as well going into 2025 here. So far, Alan, 13 players have committed / signed with Purdue out of the portal. 7 of those guys are UNLV players who are following Barry Odom. One just committed today, a linebacker named Manny Powell, who started his career at Arkansas under Barry Odom. So yeah, again, I posted something this morning. I was able to confirm some more guys that I'm told are supposed to be here on visits beginning today. Upwards of 10 or 12 more names on the site. And some very interesting names, Alan. 6 wide receivers overall. So yeah, just, and pick a position. And Purdue basically has a need there too, Alan. So they're in the market for about everything, but especially wide receivers and defensive backs.
It's interesting in terms of that. I don't know how, obviously, Barry Odom had to have had some ideas, even had he remained at UNLV. I mean, again, he was pretty adept at doing this the last 2 years. But it is just, it's amazing to me how fast, just from a travel arrangement standpoint, you got to get things figured out. Yeah. There's got to be some folks doing some logistics over at Kozich or in Purdue Athletics and in that staff just to be able to make this all happen, to get guys in, get them out. Because there's a key deadline that you've talked about, but a key thing, just an academic calendar issue that plays into this. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, these sometimes I forget, maybe sometimes you forget, viewers forget, these guys are supposedly students too. There really still is an academic component to all this. At least we're told there is. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that, but yeah, January 13th, Alan, that's a week from Monday, right? A week from this Monday. That's the first day of spring semester classes. Remember what it was like coming back after winter break?
It was depressing.
But I digress. It's January 13th, first day of spring semester. Of course, you don't have to be in that very date. I think guys are given maybe about a week's grace period. You can come a little bit late as a student. Probably maybe upwards of 10 days. You may know specifically.
Yeah.
So again, that kind of gives you a rough idea of what the coaching staff's looking at here as far as when they have to get their shopping done, so to speak. Probably before January, probably out of January 20th, maybe. I'm going to say the 19th. They can maybe still bring guys in. So they still have a couple weeks here to fortify their roster because, of course, Alan, they want guys here so they can go through spring football and can start to test drive the merchandise, if you will. see how guys fit in their scheme. Of course, there's a familiarity with a lot of these guys they're bringing in. We've talked about the UNLV transfers, guys that Odom's coached with at Arkansas, so or maybe some other staff members work with. So there's a little familiarity with the personnel, with a lot of it. But again, want to get these guys through spring ball. And then, of course, Alan, April, there's about a 10-day portal window that opens up then. And it's not quite as active at that point post-spring football, but I think we can all expect there to be a little bit more churn at Purdue, even in that April window. Again, nothing like we're seeing now, but I think we'll see some more coming and going in April for Purdue then.
Well, that churn you mentioned, I think was it 22 players have left the program.
I've signed. I've signed.
Have signed, and so obviously that's holes to fill to get to scholarship levels. I don't, and I'm maybe remiss here. And how many are in the portal? Do you even know?
And here you go, Alan. Real quick. Overall, 37 guys went in the portal at Purdue.
Yeah.
22 have already signed somewhere.
Yeah.
7 went to the portal and withdrew. They came back to Purdue.
Yes.
There's still 8 Boilermakers sitting on the airplane, the transfer portal airplane.
Yeah.
So there's still 8 Boilermakers that, for all intents and purposes, are still looking for homes. And we're seeing some of those guys tweet out offers now, guys like C.J. Smith going to Central Florida or South Florida or Memphis. DeMarzio Lewis has offers. I know Jeffrey Emba. Guys of that ilk are still in the portal. So there you go. 37 overall, 22 gone for sure, 7 withdrawn, 8 still in. And don't forget, Alan, on top of the guys that are leaving from the portal, Purdue just suffered natural attrition with seniors, right? Gus Hartwig, Kydron Jenkins, Hudson Card, Marcus Bowe turned pro early. So there's also a raft of those guys that have to be replaced too, maybe upwards of maybe 10 or 11 of those guys. So start doing the math in your head, and the attrition starts getting up towards 50 guys right there between portal exits and guys that just left because of graduation or because of turning pro in Marcus Bowe's case.
Yeah, it is fascinating on that front because just, again, head on a swivel. And you have to think, and you would have to think in the interview process with Barry Odom, that this is a guy that, you had to be convinced that he can work well in this environment. Again, he showed it in spades at UNLV, getting the running Rebels up to 20th in the rankings this past year with a lot of success. But man, oh man, it just seems like you're never going to be able to tell the players without a program. And that even comes at spring ball, because it's really going to be, there's a lot of these guys, obviously they want them in here now so they can get them into spring ball. That's incredibly important. And I do think that that is something that you have to look at that deal and figure out where you are and how to make that work.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting in some ways, Alan. Whenever you get something new, there's always a degree of excitement, and there's the unknown here. So, but again, I've talked about this before. But with this change comes hope, right? And that's what Purdue fans need. They need hope, and we see that hope expressed on our message board. And as you walk around town, people are intrigued by Barry Odom and what he do here. So there's the promise of better days ahead. And Barry Odom's resume certainly speaks to a guy that can work in this environment, like you said. What he did at UNLV, a traditionally moribund program, was nothing short of remarkable. And again, the staff, I think, has a lot of people interested, a very mature staff, a lot of experience with a little bit of youth. And then here come the players, right? And I've talked about that. 13 commitments already out of the portal. Of course, everybody's interested in the quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Again, Hudson Card is gone, okay? Everybody, just get it out of your head. He's gone. He doesn't have any more eligibility. He's gone, okay? And we got Malachi Singleton from Arkansas and C.J. Colson from Central Florida, the 2 portal guys that have been brought in. Of course, Garrett Odom, Barry Odom's youngest son, committed. He's going to be here. He had shoulder surgery, I was told, to his non-throwing shoulder. So he's probably not going to be a factor this year. And the one scholarship quarterback left, God bless him, Bennett Meredith. I'm told that Ben is probably going to graduate and leave in the spring. So your entire slate of scholarship quarterbacks from last year are going to be gone. All new room as far as scholarship guys go. And again, it probably will come down to obviously Singleton and Colson for the job. I think Purdue wants to bring in a fourth quarterback on scholarship, probably a portal guy, of course. They'd like to get a guy that can compete for the job with Singleton and Colson. How realistic is that to expect, Alan? Ask yourself, if you were a quarterback, would you want to come here with already two guys here from the portal?
Yeah.
Probably not. You're probably going to want to look for a path that's a little less cluttered. So they may have to settle for more of a developmental type guy. But I think they like to get a fourth scholarship quarterback. So again, back to Singleton and Colson. Those are going to be your two most likely combatants for the job. Two intriguing guys, Alan. Singleton's got 3 years of eligibility. Colson's got 4. Colson's a guy the former staff recruited. Similar skill sets, dual threat guys, 6-footish. Singleton's a little heftier. I'm going to try to talk to Singleton here, and hopefully in a couple days. I'm going to call him the favorite just because. I don't know why, but just because. But I think it's going to be, the job's going to be up in the air, and this is a job, Alan, that's probably going to bleed into the fall, I would think. Coaching staffs don't typically come out of spring football and name their starting quarterback. They like to keep everybody hungry, keep everybody engaged through the summer, get into fall camp, and let them continue to battle. So all eyes will be on that quarterback spot for Purdue to see who's taking that first snap for the opener against, who is it? Is it Southern Illinois or Ball State? I should know, but I can't remember which one.
I think it's Ball State, but you know what? I don't know either. So, yeah, and that is it. One of the things, a threat on the quarterbacks. Neither of them, obviously, they're relatively early in their careers.
Yeah.
Not a ton of experience.
No.
On either one of them. That's an interesting.
Yeah.
So the thought of bringing in not that Hudson Card had a handful of games experience and certainly played against Alabama, but the thought that you're going to bring somebody in of that level is unlikely, right? I mean, because that doesn't mean that Singleton are on down the road that they can't play. It just means that they're going to come in and be pretty fresh to the game, and that's going to be something that Barry Odom will have to deal with.
Yeah, you're right, Alan. If you wanted a proven quarterback out of the portal, you're going to have to pay a lot of money. And I think from what we've seen from Purdue's portal acquisitions, they don't have that kind of money to throw around. And the quarterbacks they got are certainly talented guys. There's certainly guys with plenty of potential. There's certainly guys you could develop into very good quarterbacks. They obviously aren't there yet. Colson started one game last year as a true freshman at Central Florida, played in a couple others. Singleton played in a handful of games. He was noteworthy for coming in and rallying Arkansas to a win against Tennessee, which ended up being a college football playoff team. So he flashed a lot of potential down there, Alan. People I spoke to in Fayetteville thought he had a chance maybe to push for the job a little bit, but there is a starter down there in Fayetteville who's sort of entrenched, and maybe Singleton wanted to get out of that situation. So, like you said, they're talented guys. They're just not really overly proven when it comes to game experience. So that's Purdue's lot. They have to bank on these guys developing, tapping into that talent. And Darren Henshaw is the quarterback's coach, Alan. He coached Colson at Central Florida. Obviously, he knows the kid, likes him. Henshaw was a good quarterback himself at Central Florida. So I think there's going to be plenty of guys on the staff. Josh Henson, the OC as well, that can hopefully develop these quarterbacks so Purdue can have a good leader on offense in 25.
Yeah, and on the defensive side of the ball, any common threads in terms of, and again, it's hard to know because we don't know yet the complexity, but also exactly what the scheme is going to be. We have some ideas certainly, but any threads in terms of guys they've gotten. I mean, obviously you got the UNLV, and you're getting guys from places where you have coaches, have assistant coaches, or there are places that they've coached. But any other threads or themes that you see in the portal world at this point?
Nothing right now, Alan. 5 of the 13 commits are defensive players, 3 linebackers and 2 defensive backs. No defensive lineman, which is a concern because that's another area Purdue needs to fortify. It was a real weakness last year, and It's hard to get good defensive linemen at every level of the sport, Alan. Very hard to get good big guys. So did they have a need there as well? Those guys get overvalued in the portal. Look at DeMarge Lewis getting an offer from
Yeah.
USC for crying out loud. So there you go. We saw the other Purdue pro guys.
Cole Brevard, right?
Yeah,
Did that surprise you?
well,
Yeah.
I think he's legit going to Texas. They had
Yeah.
the kid that went to USC. I can't remember his name.
Sullivan.
Yeah, Jack Sullivan. The other kid went to Auburn. Another one went to Miami. And these guys were okay players, Alan, but they get so overvalued in the portal because they're defensive linemen. So Purdue's going to have to battle that. They have to find D linemen. Yeah, I imagine scheme-wise, I really haven't studied UNLV's defensive scheme yet. That's Barry Odom's bailiwick. I trust he knows what he's doing. He's got Michael Shearer as his coordinator, a guy that he coached at Missouri, a younger guy. So you don't want you want guys you can run and hit, man. And if they're big guys, all the better. But guys who can run and hit, and again, but it all starts up front, Alan. I mean, you played probably football as a kid over here at West Side, and even at that level, man, it's a line of scrimmage game.
Yeah.
Line of scrimmage game at every level, and you got to have good guys on the O line and the D line. So that's an area I'm going to be watching closely here moving forward as this portal shopping continues.
All right, stay tuned. A lot more to come on that. We've thought, it's almost like, and of course, well documented in the college football world that high school recruiting is almost a thing of the past. Not totally a thing of the past, but
that's still going on.
But it still is, and obviously Purdue's got some spots to fill.
Real quick on that. I think the one name everybody has interest in is Cameron Gorin.
Yeah.
Of course, Brandon Gorin's son, who was supposed to sign in December, didn't. From the signals I get he's probably going to come into the fold here, Alan. He probably is going to end up being a Boilermaker when it's all said and done. That's something that could break here. Don't forget that signing day is coming up in February too, the first Wednesday in February. Like you said, you covered hundreds of those before in your past. Yeah. That used to be the high holy day.
Yeah,
now it just kind of gets lost in this wash of a calendar that's cluttered with stuff that starts in December. So yeah, don't forget about that. The 25 guys are still there. We documented some of the UNLV flips. I think they've had 6 UNLV 25 kids they flipped. Landon Brooks from Muncie, Indiana, Delta High School, a big 6'6" DN. He's coming. He told me he's coming. He's coming at the break. And then Cameron Gorin, Allen's, and they may not add too many more beyond that. I think they may end up, and when it's all said and done, maybe having 7 or 8 guys. Allen, they signed about 5 or 6 guys back in December. I think the only guy that's going to really still come here is Landon Brooks.
Yeah,
I don't believe the offers for anybody else are going to be honored. Stay tuned on that. So it's just part of doing business in college football when you have coaching staff changes sometimes.
Yeah, keeps you hopping. All right, one last comment is quick comment on the college football playoff. We've all watched and paid attention. Now we're down to the Final Four. You've covered college football at a high level for many, many years. Ohio State looks to me to be. I don't know how anybody's going to beat them. I know but Notre Dame was impressive yesterday, certainly defensively in that win over Georgia. Ohio State ultra impressive in that win over Oregon. But any great words of wisdom or anything else that you see going in to the Final Four that may happen in next weekend's games?
Yeah, nothing really. It's been fun watching the Ohio State storyline. Not that I'm ever going to shed a tear for Ohio State, but I know Ryan Day was under a lot of scrutiny, let's say, and he certainly enhanced his profile, right, with 2 nice playoff wins, especially the Oregon demolition. We could end up having Ohio State playing Penn State for the national championship.
Yeah,
How about that?
I think that's possible.
And I think the SEC stuff, everybody's chronicled that and their pratfalls and their whining and whatnot, and the ESPN posturing. Texas is indeed an SEC school, Alan.
So yes, they are. Yes, it is.
Left. So yeah, it'd be really something if we do get a matchup of I guess traditional Big Ten teams playing for all the marbles here in the very first iteration of a 12-team college football playoff. I'm just glad we have a 12-team playoff. I don't care if we have blowouts. Keep it at 12 teams. I don't want to see 14 teams. I don't care. Um, I think the more the better we have in the playoffs, and we'll see. They got to do this for one more year out, and then they're going to revisit it. Maybe they will go to 14 teams. But I'm just glad we have 12 at this point. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far watching it for sure.
Yeah, some competitive, some of course Arizona State and Texas, probably the most classic game of all. But again, we'll have more to come. 3 more games left. 2 next weekend of January 9th and 10th, or is it 8th and 9th? My dates get screwed up at this time of year. And then, of course, the national championship on January the 20th. All right, Tom, thank you very much for your words of wisdom. Happy New Year to you. And we will stay tuned. Rob Blackman will join us in the next segment. And then, of course, a tribute to Frank Kendrick. We'll have Dick Satterfield and Mike Steele talk about their experiences with Frank and Frank's passing in December. Quite a basketball life, and not only at Purdue, but the state of Indiana as well. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple minutes on Gold and Black Live.